Demo the filing process. We actually the client filing. So not only this one, and I'm going to actually use the Outlook SPY and the MFC mapping to find out all these kind of sorts of things. We actually have filing. So next week I will talk about send and file and IWC client IWCS. But today we're actually doing the EMM all about filing correctly, and I will show you what I did for the some tricky problems, say how do you actually filing the threads? Used to be I look at it, it is not correct, only filing partial of them. Now it is actually it's correct. Or the icons going forward and backward, and the reply and all these kind of small little things. So and as you know, so when I actually launch Outlook, okay, so you will actually see it's automatically connected. Okay, the one thing it's very important. I want you to actually understand what is the config files we actually put in for the cloud service. So okay, so what happened is I actually go there. Okay, so this one is auto connected. Wait a minute. Okay, so okay. One thing it's very important. It is actually we have a very important config file. We used to actually put in the config file. It is it's in the registry, right? So we actually put it in the registry, and in the local machine and the current user. But now our config it is not in the registry anymore. It is in the config file. The config file it's downloaded from the server. So what happens is I log into iMobility, it will download this one. Okay, so let me actually just check. Okay, when you actually download the config file, I usually use because sometimes you want to modify Node. I use the I always use the Notepad++ because you can modify. You will notice there's three sections. So this one is a tree painted icon. So what happens is I actually put if you have a server side link folders, we want to paint icon. So this is the part. A second part is EMM send and file. So we want to actually do the send and file. So what options there are. There's another section, okay, EMM configs. So this is for the EMM config. These are in the original in the registry. Now we actually in the config file. Now notice it is roaming. It is roaming. So roaming it is actually which means if you log to a different machine with the same user profile, you will see the same thing. So you log machine A, log machine B, you will see the same roaming file. So this is the one section. So the fourth section, okay, that is WCS config. That is for the WCS and client side CFS. Now one thing it is actually say you want to actually automatically log in or not. So when I launch it, it will actually log in to the last login server. Did you see? You have this one, okay? Another thing is, very important one now, it is actually it's a use client-side filing. So use client-side filing. Let's say I actually log into iMobility. iMobility default it says server-side filing. Is that right? but I want actually client-side filing to override it. This is the one it is actually. So we have a master one. So you have a it is a kind of XML file. You have to read it out. So what happens is it is actually it is a name value pair, and you can actually see the comment. Most important thing is, okay, a couple of things is very important in there. It is the use client-side filing. So you override the server key. So server-side filing is the registry from the server. Okay. Then you have you have called okay. So this one is client-side filing. This one is client-side send and file. Okay, that is also very important. By default, is server-side turned on. We actually use the server-side to the client-side file. But now you can actually do client-side. I actually configured as the client-side filing. I call it iMobility. There's another feature. It is actually very important. It's WCS. Now you can actually enable inbox filer. Inbox filer, which means it's client-side enable. Okay, client-side enable. So this one is client-side enable. Another one is Mac folder enable. So all the server-side filing feature we can actually enable on the client-side end now. So what happens is you want to actually see what actually you are doing. Okay, so another one is it is not in here. It is because there's another one. Node is actually planning is for the inbox filer. So the inbox filer, it is not only available for the server-side filing. Now Node is going to actually write it. If you actually look at the inbox filer, originally we only have a client-side inbox filer. There's no server-side inbox filer. Okay, but we actually run into lots of problems. That's why we actually do this thing. Okay, so the inbox filer, we can do the inbox filer too on the client side. These are the four major pieces you want to. Of course, we have a lot of when you do the client side of send a file, you want to put a BCC there, or you want to put a luggage tag there. They are all different options you can actually look at. This is must one. The ones we have, every option is in there. Okay, now, okay, so usually I actually I put in the quick access, and I go there. It says config file. I can go directly jump into there. So this is one. Now we have second one. It is the roaming one. It is very equivalently to the local machine. Okay, it's actually default install. But let's say, how do I actually test it? I want to override the server key. This one is downloaded from server. Everybody get the same copy from the running, put it in the control center. But I want to actually override it. This is the place you want to go to override it. It is actually in the local iManage work config one. Okay, so this one is the one to override the server ones. Okay, so let me actually just show you. So what I actually can override, right? So you can actually, the same one, you can override. Okay, you can override. So what happens is, what we do is this. This one is very similar to the client side. Okay, to the current user register key options. So which one take precedence? Let's say if you both set, we actually will take the local machine, because let's say server set it, client, roaming option turned on, local turned on, both turned on. They are conflict. Which one we take? We always take the local one because we want to override it. Now, if you actually only one present, we will take that one. Let's say the client, the local one is not in there, but the server there, we will take the server. So which means is actually the metaphor you will think about it is in the local one, iManage the local Hive, it is actually similar to the current user. If you actually have the roaming one, we treat as as the local machine. So Han actually put a very sophisticated downloading process. Let's say, because you have to think about it is it is rolling out in a cloud environment. So what happened is, let's say this morning I changed 2 register keys. It is real. So I actually find out is the value is your default value is 300, but some people put a code there. So I modified it. Then I actually give it to Ryan. Ryan used the control center, upload the config file there. As soon as the config file updated, okay, so the work agent, the downloading service says, oh, it's modified. It will download it. It will download it to where? To the roaming machine. Where as soon as the file is modified, it notify everybody. It says if you have a config files, you read it again, because sometimes you want to actually update in real time. So you will see the option should be updated in real time. So they have a very sophisticated things. So what happened is right now I actually doing it. It is actually I'm doing it is I enabled the inbox file equal to true, and they're all client side filing it. Okay. Now I will do some filing. Okay, some filing. So let me actually just say, you will see how fast it is. Let me actually just take this. Okay, so okay, I take this one. Okay, so this is not in iMobility. Let me think iMobility. Let me actually just say quick file. Okay, you see, it actually go there, and you can actually work on there. Immediately you can actually work on and things, and it's all filed. Okay, it is blazing fast. It's blazing fast. The reason I actually so what happened is I built this architecture. What happened is we actually always have a client-side filing. People always config. It's very slow, right? We actually sequentially. Then I find out is so what happened is I actually made it it's blazing fast to use the multi-threaded one. So I separate. Okay, so what happened is in Outlook we always have 2 different paradigms. Okay, programming. One is called MAPI programming. One is called object model programming. Okay. The Outlook object model programming, it is all about UI setting up or something like that. But you can also doing the MAPI programming. Okay, the Outlook is actually dictate us is if you want to use the Outlook object model, you better in the main thread. So originally we actually say when we actually import an email, right? We actually will say give me email. Download. I get CC, BCC, or something like that. Importing the flags or something like that. We all do the foreground, right? But in that case, if you have 20 emails, it will be very slow. And even if you do an email file, background filing, all these kind of things, they actually interact with each other. It is very slow. What happened is I actually when I actually look at the EMM, it actually find out it's not very good. Okay, so what I did is, you actually get a 10, I actually get it, but when I spawn a thread, in the second thread, I do the imports. After the imports, I notify the main thread to update all the UIs. Now, there's one originally, Boris also doing the, in the second thread, also using the multi-thread to import. Why does it fail? So what I find out is if you actually in the second thread, in the work thread, doing the imports, if you call object model, it will route it to the main thread. So it actually still will affect the UI. So what happened is, I designed it in a way is, if you, in the second thread, you only use mapping, never use UI. So what happened is Outlook is actually a beast, it's a program beast. So if I actually doing all the, background in mapping, it will not affect the UI. So that's why you will see it is actually, it's long, it is actually, even you can select 300. It will like immediately, then it will like this. So that is one of the major improvement, I made, to architecturally to do this. All the object model call should happen in the main thread. All the filing or something like background filings in there. If you want to change the icon, we will do, in the main thread, but it is actually this, okay? So that's why you will see the client-side filing, it is actually, the client-side filing, I'm telling you, it is actually the speed is equivalent to the server-side filing. Originally, why we server-side filing is very fast is we don't download files. We don't do import. We don't do actually a CC, BCC, and you got the recipient list. One of the function I find out very slow is the recipient list. Because the recipient list is each one is actually so that's why I actually improve it. It is very fast. Okay. Now, what I want to actually show you is made some modification. Modification is whenever you see this one, you see the icon in there. Okay. If I actually send, okay. Okay. So this one exactly. You will see it actually is very interesting. Let me actually just reply to it. Okay. I reply to it, and you will see. And Vincent, okay, I reply to it, so to release, and you will see the icon. Okay, so this is send file. I say send only. Hey, did you see? It's become the forwarded. Okay, I tested a lot. Okay, not forwarded. Now let me actually just do it again. And did you notice? Yeah, this is the replied icon. So there's a file and a replied icon. We have 8 different icons. I actually test a lot to make everything working. Okay. So and in Outlook, there's one thing is very interesting. Okay, very interesting is when you actually when you actually see forward. Okay, forward. Did you see this one is actually the window? It is actually is replaced the old window. Is that right? Did you see that? Okay, so let me show you. There's one option there. Okay, see, this one is go to the forward. Okay, forwarded one. Okay, now there's one option there. Sometimes a customer has issues there. It is actually always very confusing. So there's one option there. Is okay, hold on a second. Mail. Okay, and okay. So there's one. I actually tested these kind of things. When you actually write the program, you really need to actually take care of it. So you also want to sometimes you say, oh, this one happens, this one not a bug. You want to actually observe very correctly. So this is the option. It says open, reply, and forward in a new window. Okay, now look at this. So I tested. Okay, lots of times it's not working, but I want to make it work. Okay, you see? Okay, so it's opened, right? But in this case, okay, I say forward. Okay. Oh. Wait a minute. So it should actually open with a new window. Let me double check. mail. Open. Okay, so let me actually check, reply it. Okay, maybe I have to turn it off. Okay. Okay. Oh, it didn't stick. It should actually open a new window. I want to actually demo that. Weird. It didn't. I actually relaunch it. Usually it should immediately. When you reply, open reply and forward in a new window. It should actually, interesting. It is actually, it's not doing it. Okay, so.
Vincent, try the next checkbox. Try unchecking that one.
Checking which one?
Go back to the options. There is an option that said close the original window. So I think it's doing what you want.
Yes. Okay, so let me actually just check. So open. Oh, close, not close. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is a separate one. So what happened is, okay. So thank you. So open. Okay. It's not close. So I forward. It closes. Interesting. Let me because usually it should it's closed. Okay. Okay. Let me actually just check. Weird. Open. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Forward. It's always closed. Okay, so I want to show you, if it is actually, if you both of them there, you will notice I have to close both windows, the icon have to change. If you, because for one message, I find out when I actually coding this one, you know, according to my experience, I open this message, is that right? I open this message. This one is called Explore, Outlook Explore. I open this message, I open this one, okay? So this one is a new message window, existing open message window. Actually, Outlook, in order to sync each other, is very complicated. Outlook has 3 copies. One is represented by this new message, one is on the grid, one is the mapping. They have 3 ones. So in order to actually let them to actually, combine them together, sync each other, it's a very, very, very hard task. Okay. So this one is actually whenever you actually do the support, you have to keep in mind why this actually is not. One thing is okay. So this is the one. Okay. So another thing is, you want to actually open, okay? So you want to open with this one, right? And another thing is, I also tested a lot, okay? Tested a lot is the inline, okay? Is the inline. So you reply, okay? This is new message window. Reply. Wait a minute. It is actually not open. Okay, not open. So reply. Wow. Because the inline. it is there.
Oh yeah, but when you want to check it, you need to actually click OK for these top 5.
Let me check. Oh, could be. Okay, open. Let me. Okay, let me. Okay, let me say OK. Okay. So let me actually do this. Okay, this inline. Okay, so the inline. Okay, now if you actually go to build. Okay, I tested a lot too. If you actually forward, and they actually go to different routes. I have to check. One is inline window, one is not, like, underline window. So let me actually just do this. Okay, so reply. Send only, and you will see, and it's changed the icon. So that one, it is actually, it's very important, keep in mind. But how do you actually, if the problem happens, how do you actually track all this? So one thing is very important, I always use it. So it is actually you install the Outlook Spy. I always, ask people to install Outlook Spy. Outlook Spy, when you actually try to install Outlook Spy, I actually bought this one, it's like, maybe like 10 years ago from Dimitri, and we actually paid like $200. I use it, actually, it is the most efficient, like, third-party software. We actually use it on everywhere, because it's enterprise-wide license, and I use it everywhere. And it's still like, I can use the interwoven, like a registry key, registry, like, password, and I still use it, okay? So now, whenever you actually, so this is very important to use. I always use it, okay? So when you use it, you have always have two versions. One is a 32-bit version, one is a 64-bit version. Always want business, okay? So in order to check business, we know it is you go to Office account, right? Okay, so you go to About, and you will check the 64-bit. So Outlook 64-bit, I always use this one to Outlook. Now let's actually just check, okay? Did you see? You have actually two tabs here, okay? You can ignore this one, okay? You can ignore this part. I can actually always use this part and that part. This one is for Outlook object model. You want actually see, what is the object model you want to actually check. This one is the mapping. You see, you have iMessage, like a message store, equivalent to the store folder, application. The session means application namespace, and they actually equivalent. Okay, as a matter of fact, I will always use. Let's say, just last week, we actually tried to find out, how do you actually get when the import, right? Let's say when you actually import a message, how do we actually import a message set to the user? We want actually, this is the process. Let's say I got email, I want to file it. First, I want to actually set the user. So I explained to Hiro, what is the process? So we actually go to the message store and extract the current login user's email address. From the email address, we actually go to the work to do a search, find the user, and we find the user set as an author. How do we find out? And we have a very, very weird, problem is that it is set up with random users. So what happened is I found out is, Sergey is actually, it's use the store ID to find out the address. How do we actually, Sergey as a find the address, we can actually check it very easily. So we actually use the, mapping, we actually find it. You will see this one, it is actually, in the store, mapping object give you list of the properties. These are the properties, did you see that? Some of the number have names, let's say PR access, you read only or not, okay? These are called the mapping properties, okay? And can you actually see above? These are like 07C, 1C. these properties are called name properties. They are actually not standard properties. Okay, so I actually like to know look at the addresses. Okay, look at the addresses. Okay, and did you see? Did you see? This is what actually we actually get the email address from the mailbox. Did you see? If we go to the entry ID, the unique ID for the store, and I have Vincent Wu, this one. So we actually can call, find the ID, and we actually get this one, and search the user with this address and find the user, and we set the document also, right? And for older one, for some of the machines, okay, is the entry ID is a version 1. They don't have email address. But don't have email address, what the address we use, okay? We actually is using this one, mailbox DN. This one is the organization unit and groups and something like recipient, the common name and all this. So this one is what happened is, I explained, it is the X400 address, X500 address, email X500. Now, very interesting, okay? If you actually go to a home, go to this one, you see, if I actually put this one X500 address, if I control K, it actually will result it to the user. So this one is a very variable. You know, this problem is existing for a long time. I never actually studied it. But when I actually got it, you know, I go through all the like Kanban problems, and I use this like a very powerful, you know, X500 address, and the address. I look at the code and find out is this way. So X500 address is organization units and groups and a common name, and got it. Okay. So if you don't have address, we try to resolve use X500 address and find out, right? But you know, then we got SMTP address. In the case of the customer, it actually used X500 address, not uniquely resolved to the SMTP address. That's why we have this problem. Okay. So I actually just demo to you, you know, how do I actually use. Now, if you look at this one. Okay, for the build. Okay, for the build. Okay, so if I actually go there, you know, whenever you want, actually after the filing, okay, screen is too small. Okay, they have two views. Okay. One is in Outlook, whenever you actually have a very short width, the supergrid, it will give you the compact view. Compact view only give this. But if you actually, if it's a very wide, it actually will give you the full view. Okay, the inbox view. Okay, in inbox view, after filing, did you see we have like a filing? Okay, filing folder. Okay, because the window is very small, and you have the filing status and the filing date. Okay, now, whenever you have a problem with this kind of problems, I always use Outlook Spy. Okay, Outlook Spy. Most of the time, I actually want use Mappy to look at it. Okay, so in this case, folder is build folder. Okay. Message is this. So if you actually click the message folder, iManage folder, it will show the folder of the build folder property. If I use this one called iMessage, then I will actually check this. Okay. Now, if you look at it, as I already explained, there are two parts of the messages of the properties. One is starting from, let's say, PR, something PR. These are the standard properties. Every message has it. This one, it is set by the customers. So that is why we actually, if you look at it, okay, if you look at it, we set up a couple of messages, okay, properties is our one most important thing. It is the PR message class. We always know. Okay, so the message class, message class W. So W is a Y-char or Y-char. So these days, because they're all Unicode, you actually look at Y-char. This is what happened is we actually control the icon. So the message class, we have a special message class called IPM node, works at EMS filed forward. That's why we actually have forward. Did you see? Right? Have forward. Okay? So now, some of the properties, they are very important. They're very important. These are the ones we set on. Why? It actually, in our view, we can always actually show this, because we actually, for each message, we set the properties. A couple of properties, we actually, it's very important if you want to use it. First one is, this one is mapped to which one? So filing document ID. So this one is the moniker of the document. It is active, that's exclamation 27 or this. Okay, or this. Okay. Now, and you can actually look at this. Okay, look at a couple of things like icon and let me see. Okay, you see the status code. We say that filed or not or something like that. These are the filing original class. Is it before we change the class? What do we want to change? Sometimes we want to revert back to the class. We have to set that the filing original icon is -1, is original one. Okay, we have a filing status filed. Which folder we actually listed, it actually is there, and you can actually go through all this, all these properties. Some of them it is actually set by the Outlook. Did you see that? Okay, so this is invaluable when you actually start. Okay, now go to the next. This one is for the Outlook for mapping. Okay. And another thing is very interesting one is on this one is Outlook object model. Outlook object model. Okay. Now look. If you actually go to Outlook object model, let me actually just select this one. Use the same fashion. We have a folder properties for Outlook object model. We can have item. Item is the message itself. Okay. Item is the message itself. So we can actually go to message. Okay. We can. Did you see? These are the messages we actually show through, okay? The properties. One of them, let's say I want to actually code the message class. Did you see that? We have the message class, right? And you want to actually change, okay? So the message class, and there's a tab over there, right? Tab over there. It is actually, you can call functions. You can call close, you can call functions, you can see events, you can also write a script on it. Okay, you can write a script on it. So let me actually just, sometimes I want actually testing something. You say save, file, like, message save, you cannot save twice, like, we have this one. I use the, like a script to testing all this. Okay, because, for the object model, they have already have a global variables there. One is called application, one is called mail item. So I can call mail item dot, let's say message, okay, class, okay, equal, okay, okay, so you can run. Okay, now we save. Oh. You see, when I actually call the message class, I change it to read, and mail item saved. Do you see the icon? It changed. Okay, so we can actually do lots of this kind of stuff. Okay, and one thing I want actually to show you, sometimes, you know, I actually fixed one of the problems. Okay, so originally in the old EMM they cannot do, but I actually put it in the new one. Let's say actually you have a new message, right? In the new message, originally when we actually type in something there, we actually didn't actually show you the suggestions. So let me actually just say Penny, right? You see, right now in the new EMM, I actually give you this one. How do I do this? Originally, I don't know how do I do this. So what happened is, basically, my programming is whenever you actually change something, I want to actually get the event from the from the Outlook object model. In that case, chance I can actually say. So what happened is I actually just use a little bit of trick and find out it is. You see, I go to Outlook Spy. I go to current item. This is current item. You see, I actually say when I type in something, what event actually will change. So what happens is I go to the events, right? Okay. So I have this events. Now I actually just follow this. Let me actually just type in something. So type in some Penny. Okay. I didn't do. You see? I actually find out is the event is filed. When the event is filed, then I actually capture this event. Then I actually will see, oh, it's Penny. Then I search the so the suggestion, and I put this feature in. Originally it's not there now, but what happened is in the new feature is there. Okay. Now I actually demo to you. Okay, last one. Okay, for this session. It is actually I put a feature. It is actually called filing the conversation thread. Okay, we have this feature. So one day, like Mohit coming, he said, all the EMM filing the conversation thread never actually worked. You know why? It's because the conversation thread, let's say you have a 30 reply all, it actually only 5, sometimes 3. So Mohit cannot actually figure this out. It's just the feature just doesn't work. So then I'm thinking about the years. I know Outlook pretty well. So because the conversation thread, basically it is a fragmented tree structure, right? So let's say I initiate a message. Let's say send it to Hiro, okay, send it to Myra, okay. So let's say I send. So I actually got so the conversation ID started with this. You reply. I actually forward. So it actually can grow. It's kind of a tree structure. So what I find out is, in order to make it correct, it must have to recursive to enumerate through. Okay. So let me actually just demo to you. Then I put this one in, and now it is actually the conversation thread can file. It is actually perfectly. So now how do I count conversation thread? So first one is I have to go to a 111, let's say, okay? So I already make the conversation view, right? So when you actually hold over there, when you view, there's one as such is the conversation view. So if I turn this off, okay, so this folder, I always this folder. If you actually, Microsoft has a bug, if you turn on all the conversation views, our file type will not work. Okay, so you have to turn on the on. Okay, it's only one. So this one is a regular view. I turn the conversation view, right? And for this one. Now, have you seen? So some of them has a, so this is conversation view. Conversation view have a conversation thread. Okay, this one, if you look at it, they have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Conversation view. Okay. Now, so this is conversation. So conversation view, okay, conversation. So next one, did you see? I actually confused a lot, for me. Did you see the notice? If I go here, the small triangle showed up, but this one does not actually turn off and turn on. Okay, so this one is extended out. Okay, I spent almost 1 day to figure this out. Why? Some of them, you have the conversation thread. You have lots of them. It's not, consider how many of them you actually consider. I really confused. I actually searched the whole internet and know everybody asking this question. Why this triangle sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. I actually finally figured out because I actually used the view chooser. View chooser, I put the in folder. There's a view chooser. There's a one folder is in folder. Then I find out is this. Okay, conversation view. It is actually the messages conversation. Let's say you forward to reply all. The message in here not necessarily is in 111. Is that right? If it also pull messages from the inbox, from the send items. You replied it. Now, if you look at it, okay, if you look at it, some of them is actually from this folder. Okay, some of them from the SNA folder. So some of them from send item folder. Some of them from the pennies folder. Did you see that? Then I find out, yes, this is a mystery. Everybody asking mystery. So this mystery is, if the conversation thread only one message belongs to 111, it will not show the icon, not show the triangle. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7. We have 7 in the conversation thread messages, but only this one in 111. In that case, it will hide. It will not show the icon. If this one, Peter Kim, this one will show. I actually just tested. If you have this one, you see, this one have 1, 2, 3. You have 3 messages in there. It will always have a triangle will happen. Okay. Now let me actually just show you. Okay. So originally the icon, it is actually it's a filing. It is actually very random. Sometimes you got 2, sometimes got 3. What I find out is it's only because the conversation items is always it's a tree structure. It must be go through the recursive calls. You cannot get the first level. I find out original code in our old EMM. It is only the conversations thread is only the first level. I put the recursive one. Only take 1 day. I actually put it in this feature. Now you will look at it. Is I just do a refile. Okay, you will see. Okay, I do a refile. You will see every them. It is actually it is a filing. You can actually try it, and I demoed to Mohit, and it is really good. They actually just now they like the feature. Originally, because it is a very random, see. So this is the the new feature for the conversation thread, for the conversation thread. Okay, so very important for the Outlook spy. I always have a copy and a key ready. If you guys want, you can actually just for the Outlook is in variable and from Dimitri and in Russia and Siberia, and it is a great tool. And I think it is actually now. Second one, of course, I want to demo to you is the MFC mapping. Okay, so MFC mapping as well as Outlook the Outlook spy, you always need a business. Okay, it's a business because it is actually go to the MAPI. MAPI has a 32 version or 64 version. If you actually Outlook 64 version, you want to install the MFC MAPI is a 64-bit. If 32-bit, you 32-bit. On my machine, I already have it. Wait a minute. There's
in the middle of the
in the middle of the screen. I don't know where it is. Okay, the middle of the screen. Okay, so this one it is also is invariable tool. You know, we actually Vinod actually put in a very beautiful feature. The client side, client side IWWCS. Next session, Monday session, I will like a demo or the standard file features there. So when you actually have this one, when you launch MFC MAPI 64-bit. So you see, I will demo you just give you a just give you a taste. So you can actually log in. Okay. So let me actually. So this is the profile. Okay. I have lots of profiles. Okay. So this is the profile. So you can log in the profile. From the profile, we have message stores, right? We have message stores. Some of them archive stores, or sometimes I have another store that is the Yahoo, right? Everybody knows you can actually use in Outlook client, you can actually plug in Google email or Yahoo email and these kind of things. Our filing and all these kinds of things support it. We actually test it, right? So this one is, and I always thanks for Jeremy. We always have another account that is a support test account that is for the delegate testing. So whenever you actually you want to test the delegate, you want to actually get Jeremy and that's a test account. You can actually test the. So on my default ones, I have my Outlook. Okay, I always have IMAP POP3 server ready. So to test like a Yahoo account, Gmail account problems or something like that. And also have a dedicated account for filing, dedicated filing or something like that. So right now you can actually go through. Okay, go through. Usually there's a mailbox has a root. From the root, okay, we have lots of folders, lots of the hidden folders. And one of the folder, it is actually most important one is called IPM, okay, in the process messaging, the subtree. Okay, from the subtree, I have lots of rules and lots of these kind of things you can check. And one thing, did you see? Actually, you can actually use the MFC MAPI to find lots of things. One thing is, let's say, hidden. Vinod actually create a hidden search folder. Okay, it's a search folder. Now look at this. It's very beautiful. So this search folder is called IMWCS inbox filer, a search folder. When you actually click a search folder, okay, this is a folder. You can just look at the properties. When I actually properties is a search folder. We can even use this one to look at its search folders. Okay, look at this. We can actually see what is actually the the search criteria it has. Did you see? So you can see the search criteria. We can actually use this one to see the search criteria. Okay. Okay, you see the search criteria. The search criteria is there, and they have lots of search criteria in there to actually put the send and the file and the inbox filer, put in search criteria and filing them. Okay, so it's very similar. It's very similar to this to the Outlook Spy, but it's a MAPI based. There's no Outlook object model. It always actually the MAPI-based. I actually always use this one to test, like, you know, the MAPI-based. Use the, right, the file site, this one, you know, for the file site, this one is an invaluable tool. So for the, for MFC MAPI, okay, MFC MAPI, this one I touch. So next week I will actually, for the standard file, and going into details and this, okay? So, and one more thing, sometimes I think it's very important. A lot of people, you know, will ask, you know, will ask me, so what does the VDM look like, you know? So what happens VDM look like, okay? So I will use, most of the time, I will use MFC MAPI to actually, to open it. So because VDM and MSG files, you can actually use, let's say, you know, advanced. Okay, you can actually use this one to see it. Okay, so I will actually demo to you a little bit. Okay, so let me just check. So app data. Okay, iOutlook. View, EN, okay, so all files. You see, sometimes I actually got the VDM files, okay. For the VDM files, we have a default view is this one, okay. You can actually just look at it. You see, it's the same thing, look like same thing as the MSG file. So what happened is, you can actually just go there and find out, you know, what is the default name, right? So views default name and all these sorts of things that behind the thing, and you can even look at the property that is a property. You can actually look at what is the string look like. Okay, let me actually just look. You see, so this one actually dictated the view. We actually have the views. We have the columns, like say, like icons, you know, magic cards. This view is an XML file. It actually tells you, you know, it says what header, you know, icon column. Do you see that description column and the number column, document number column, all these kind of things. Okay, all these kind of things. Okay, so actually have just touch the surface of Outlook Spy and MFC MAPI, and I actually just invite you, if you actually support it, like, you know, for the new EMM, and you should actually use it and to see all these sorts of things and to see how does it work, and you will learn a lot, you know, use these two tools, and you will do.
Thanks. Does anyone on the phone have any questions?
Oh. That's all. So one.
I have questions.
What questions?
Okay. The config file.
The config file, yes.
In Outlook only reads on launch, right? If you change something and Outlook is open,
it should read.
It should read.
It should read. It should dynamically read. So let's say if your Outlook is open, lots of people Outlook is open. This is what actually we do. So if its Outlook is always open, okay. Now the server actually this morning 9 o'clock, I uploaded the new config file, emm.config file to Ryan in the control center over there. It actually queried. It says, did you see in the work agent you see logging, you know, over. Actually, it is not logging. It is a query. Is there any config file change or not? If it is changed, it will download. It will notify the option will notify the client. It says configuration file change. You should reload the config file.
Okay.
It should.
Is it new in 10.2 because in
10.2.
Okay,
Because the older one we don't have a config file.
No,
we only have the
10.13 has a config file, but it only reads on launch. It doesn't read like if you made a change after launch. It doesn't read.
Yes, older one 10.2.
Okay.
10.2. 10.2 should dynamically load the options whenever actually server changed.
I thought Tony mentioned in his presentation on Monday that some settings may not take effect.
May not.
Do you know if there is a difference, if there are any that wouldn't?
You know, as far as I know, it should take effect.
Okay. So we'll test it then.
You should actually, you know, because that part, is Han and like a Matt, and they actually write. You know, I always have questions. What is algorithm it is? I really confused. They didn't actually really like explicitly say, you know, how long it take, you know, what is actually but this is what they actually I find out, and they told me it actually should take effect immediately. It is not like a delay. Otherwise, you know, it doesn't make sense because Outlook, let's say you're running like 3 days, it will never take effect. And some of the policies maybe is very important changes.
Yeah.
This is what I actually was informed. I'm not sure it is actually is true or not. I didn't like go into in detail. Is that because it actually really confused. Another thing is really confused me is you know, I don't think it is actually layout really correctly. So it is in the roam. The EM config is in roaming directory. It's in the config. It's not server specific. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
It's not. The key is not in the config is not in the server config. In this case, if you actually let's say connect, you log into iMobility. If I connect to WTS2, what do you want to do? Right. If you have a conflict, you know, the config file, what do you do? So you actually can assume every config, you know, the config file will be exact the same. But in reality, it is not true.
Yeah, sure.
It is not true. And you know, for me, it is actually WTS2 is a client-side filing only. There's no server-side filing for WTS2. But iMobility is test2. It is actually enabled. And another thing is, you know, some of them they actually you know have server config. Let's say a server config is different. You know, server config you have downloaded. Let's say you know email domain. There will be different like an email domain to actually config. So over there actually I think it's you know over there I still think that there's confusions over there. So
how does it determine which one takes precedence then if you are connected to multiple servers?
So multiple servers. For the EM config, they assume they are the same. Okay, unless you actually download. I still have like a lot of questions. For the server configs, they actually separate. So server config could be different server have a different config. Like say you have like email domain and all these kind of sorts of things.
That's the thing. Yeah. We have an option called client-side filing.
Yes.
And we have an option called send and file client-side filing.
Yes.
So what happens if you have client-side filing set to 1?
Yeah.
But send and file client-side filing set to 0. So send and file will go server-side, and the other portion will go client-side.
Right. Because filing is like it's a quick filing, right? I do quick file,
okay.
And all these kind of sorts of things is a filing. Send file is actually the emails in your send items folder, right? So they are different. So even if you client-side filing turned on, you turn off the send and the file, server-side filing will dictate.
Okay. Then in the logic, when you select like 10 emails to file,
yes,
right? You mentioned that you get the emails, then you start the import process, and once the import process finishes, then you mark the emails, right?
That is right.
Okay. What happens if you have 10 emails, and let's say for any reason, the email number 5 failed?
Yes.
Will it continue with the order?
Yes, yes. So, originally I wrote the send file, but Vela made a big change. So what happened is even make it faster is because it is actually, it's queued up in the suggestion database. we will like review later.
Okay.
It actually it's put into the put into the entry and in the database and do the filing. It's not like so you can retry. Why is we want to support this one? Is if you actually run offline, Outlook is not connected, you still can do filing, right? So in that case, you cannot, because there's no internet. How do you actually import to
Yeah, you can.
So Vela doing very complicated things there, put into the database. Whenever you actually connect to the server, and he's going to file. And we can, of course, we actually how to demo this because I have to go offline.
Yeah.
Right. I go to offline, you disconnect. So there's lots of things. Lots of things like that it is like happening. They're all news. I think it is. We actually win win the like innovation award, right? I mean it's true. There's a lot. For the EMM they actually did a lot of things. We actually Vinod and Vela and did lots of things into it too. If you use it's very interesting to see the WCS, client side of WCS. It's much better than like a Boris one. I mean, Boris they have too many problems. I mean, you cannot fix them even, right? I try to fix them, but it is actually just cannot understand the code. Too many bugs.
Boris is on the phone, by the way.
And Boris,
another question.
But he's already 80 years old.
When you close, you open an email that was filed, okay?
Yes.
The email is already filed.
Uh-huh.
When you open the email and you close.
Yes.
Just I asked this question because of a previous case in all email. When you close it, you are not changing any property?
I don't change.
Okay, good. I asked you because in the previous email, on close, we were changing a property, and that was causing a problem with eVault messages. Because eVault will interpret that the email changed, and it will show you a message saying, "Oh, the email changed. Do you want to save a copy?"
No.
So I am asking just
no.
because of this or that issue. So on close, you are not changing any property.
Not
okay.
It should not change. Maybe it's changing or something like that. So I mean itself, Outlook always like EMM always a beast, right? And I mean too many like things could happen, and it's critical to like fighting all these kind of things. You keep the right state, and we still have one because I told you if you open a message, it actually have 3 copies. The new message window copy, the grid is a copy. One is the map is a copy. I actually when I started programming, I always confused. Why is it actually not a sync? Why not as icon change? But that's why I want to actually always test. Online when you inline you pop up filing you reply to it. You have a new window or old window and 2 windows. So close the other one, close this one, send. All should work. It is actually it's very it looks like easy. It is actually it's not easy to actually all the different sequence. I'm really surprised. It actually should not close the window. Open a new window. I will like demo maybe next time. Let me figure out what's going on, why it failed. So it actually you have 2 new windows. For 2 new windows, one you could send, then close this one, or you close this one and send, right? And how do you actually change the icon? Which one is actually you change? I have to. If you don't change it, will you reply or and forward you can cancel. You don't need to actually go forward. So these kind of things is very sensitive. Very sensitive. Just like a conversation thread is very sensitive. You want to actually doing this. Not only this one, we actually have these features. We want to let the customer know. Because people don't appreciate this or say conversation thread. It's very useful. If you think about it, you can actually Mohit, because he always uses like a conversation view. You want actually file, let's say, report it together. Expense of the ILDA. You want it once and the audit. How do you actually without conversation thread? How do you actually do that? You cannot do. But if you actually have a bug, let's say you only got the first level, and people actually cannot use it. But now I actually tested like 30. It spread around different folders. It actually will import. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you very much for coming, and see you next session. Next session we will talk about IWCS, like a standard file in the like Vinod's work and all this kind of stuff. We can actually just check, like a standard file and all this kind of suggestions and all this.
That's perfect.
Then we have like a next another session we can actually talk about like how do we debug on the customer side, the WinDBG and all this kind of stuff.
No, it's good that you're covering the WCS client stuff because Vinod has a session next week too, just for that, for the changes in 10.2. So.
Oh, 10.2. Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, you can
show the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I can like show the a little bit behind behind the scenes. We always. Thank you very much for coming and.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Vincent. Cheers, bud.
Thank you very much.